Welcome to HackerRank challenge number 9. This one's called Find the Runner-Up Score. Here we're given a list of integers. In this example, that's 2, 3, 6, 6, 5, and we're tasked with finding the second highest number in this list. In this case, that's 5. So what's really important here is that even if, like in this example, the highest number occurs multiple times, that still just counts as the highest number, and we're after the one that comes after that, which in this case, again, is 5. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to take our integers that were provided in the input and turn that into a list. Currently, those integers are stored in this array variable as a map object. That's actually not super straightforward to work with, so we'll just turn it into a list. We'll call that list scores. And the way that we turn our map object into a list is just by typecasting. So we'll just go list R. Okay, so let's see if that worked. We'll just print out scores. We'll run the code and see what the output looked like. So that's obviously not going to be the final solution, but we can see here that we successfully turned the input into a list, and now we can work with that. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is get rid of any duplicate values. So in this case, we have 2 6s, we only want 1 6, because what we can do then is just order our list and take the second highest element, which in that case will be the 5, which is the correct answer. So this is a very nice little way to get rid of duplicate values in list, and that is by turning the list into a set, which will only have the unique values, and then turn that back into a list. So let's do that up here. So we'll just go scores equals, and we'll typecast set on scores, and then we'll turn that straight back into a list by going list to set, set to list and scores. So let's run that and see what happens. Yep, awesome, that got rid of the 6. Which means we're halfway there. What we need to do now is order this list. Now, you'll notice that this actually came out ordered because when we typecasted it into set, it did order the numbers. But what's important here is when you typecast to set, these numbers are actually ordered by their absolute value. So that means if we had a value that was like, let's say, a -10, it would actually come after the 6. And that's going to be a problem. And when we run all the test cases, we'll see that there's some examples with negative values, and that would fail because we want to order our numbers from negative high numbers to positive high numbers. In order to order our list, we can actually use a built-in function in Python called sort. So let's do this. All that we have to do is go scores sort, and we can run again. And now in this case, we'll see that nothing has changed because this particular list was already sorted, but trust me, this is important for a lot of the test cases. Now at the moment we're printing out the entire list, but we're really only interested in the second highest element. So the way that we access that is by going to the index -2. So -1 would be the last element of the list, -2 is the second last. So this should be our correct answer. Let's run it. Yep, that's correct. And if we submit the code, it will run through all the test cases, and we can see that works perfectly fine. Now, if we were not to do the sort here, and we submitted our code, you'll see that some of the test cases fail, and those are most likely the ones that have negative numbers in them. So let's run it one more time, just because we love seeing all these green check marks. Yep, that's it. We did well, and we're fine to move on to the next one. Before we move on, I just want to encourage you to maybe play around with this a little bit more and see if you can solve this problem without using the typecasting and the built-in functions, but instead just use for loops and if statements. So for example, this first bit here without typecasting, the way that you would do this is you would start out with an empty list for your scores, and then you could iterate over the values in that R variable. So let's say I in R, and now append those to the list. But since you don't want any duplicates, you'll want to check whether they are already in the list. And if they're not in the list, you will append them. If they are already in the list, you won't. So the way that you could do this is adding an if condition that goes if I is not in scores, then we append I. So it goes scores dot append I. So let's see if we ran this, that should still work. Yep. And the same way you can come up with a solution to sort the values in scores without using the built-in sort function. And I think that's just a great learning experience, but for now we're fine, and we're happy to move on to the next one. See you there.